Captain's log. Stardate 439576, Mark 3-Q. 1 minute I'm aboard the Enterprise, and the next, the ship has vanished from around me, and I find myself in a room with an old 20th century computer and a strikingly handsome gentleman in a loud vest.
So, who, may I ask, are you? And who are you chatting with on that cellular phone?
I'm Captain James T. Kirk of Starship Enterprise. It's 5-year mission.
Sean, I'm Walter Bascom, and we seem to have been brought here to give a retrospective on an antique, non-virtual game called Space Quest 6, The Spinal Frontier, from Sierra.
Yes, I seem to recall playing Space Quest 137 in my old Academy days as part of my history lesson. Roger Wilco in Old Habits Fly Hard, something like that.
Well, in this game, you also play Roger Wilco,
Roger Wilco, please step forward.
who has been booted back to being a janitor.
Roger Wilco, you have been judged guilty of perpetrating a sequel without authorization.
After being a really awful captain
Now you've done it.
in the StarCon Federation.
Can't you guys take a joke?
What's his 5-year mission?
You don't actually have a mission. This game starts with shore leave on the planet Polysorbate 60, where you are presumably trying to get drunk and late.
Not.
Thus the bar atmosphere. But there are some women here that even I wouldn't get involved with.
Nice try, loser.
When was this game produced?
1995.
But this doesn't seem very advanced for that time. I know they didn't have holodeck technology or computers with as many neat flashing lights as we do in our time, but this interface seems a bit outdated.
It's strange. At this time in their history, Sierra had just put an enormous amount of time and effort into a game called Phantasmagoria to make it the most advanced thing yet on the computer game market. But with Space Quest 6, they were only concerned with making it marginally better than Part 5.
There's so much clicking around to pick the right verb icon. As I recall, there were several games in 1995 where you just clicked on the object and you did the appropriate thing. Well, the graphics at least seem very sharp for the time. Maybe the characters are a little flat, but that cartoon look works quite well with the silly nature of the storyline.
This is the first Space Quest game to use SVGA graphics. If you'll notice, the robot characters are all rendered in 3D, wandering around a 2D set.
Strange. It makes the machines seem more real than the people.
Well, the mix of 3D and 2D characters is a little bizarre, but it's not really distracting. If anything could have used more work graphically, it's Roger himself. He sort of leans to one side a lot.
Bad posture. What happened? We were playing Space Quest 6, and now, suddenly, it's men with bad haircuts fighting each other.
Maybe it's a little after your time, Captain Kirk.
Jim, damn it. Call me Jim.
Sorry, Jim. Stooge Fighter 3 is a satire on the Mortal Kombat style games that were popular at the time, and the comedy troupe called The Three Stooges.
The implications on the game box are that you might want to play this game by itself. But why, Walter? Why?
Damned if I know, Jim. The game is rigged, and it's almost impossible to win without the cheat codes. Then once you get them, it's not a fair fight, and you win every time. It's not really a game, it's just a plot device.
Well, I think the title is a reference to Roger Wilco traipsing around inside somebody, like in Fantastic Voyage. But it certainly is taking a long time to get even close to that part of the plot.
This is not so much a plot as a series of things that just happen to Roger Wilco. A day in the life, so to speak.
One hell of a long day, if you ask me.
Well, I don't know if they covered this in your history class, but in 1995, the CD-ROM had just become the standard medium for computer game storage. To justify this, many designers went a bit overboard trying to fill all the extra game space.
That's certainly the impression I get here. Roger just keeps going, and going. It's not bad exactly, but it's not what you'd call an epic. The puzzles in Space Quest 6 also seem to be a lot more complicated and strange than you usually get in an adventure game.
Yes, Jim. These are difficult puzzles. Damn difficult. Especially this one. All of the components can be moved around, and there's a particular configuration you need to create a homing field.
That seems almost impossible. How many possible configurations are there?
Sierra may be cruel, but they're not that cruel. The manual eliminates a lot of the possibilities for you, and soon you're left with your basic logic puzzle. It's still a pretty complicated offering for a game that's primarily for laughs.
Yes, that's right. These Space Quest games are all supposed to be full of science fiction jokes.
Correct again, Jim. The Spinal Frontier is no exception. It's got lots of broad humor. Subject matter ranges widely from Fantastic Voyage to E.T., to Outer Limits to Star Trek.
Star Trek, but that's me. They're making fun of me.
A little bit.
You're no god to me, mister.
Calm down, Jim. They haven't met you personally. For a Space Quest fan, anything is fodder for a joke.
It seems like this game will satisfy the people who've already played the earlier chapters, but for newcomers, I don't know. I just don't know.
Like every Space Quest game before it, the Spinal Frontier is made for a select audience, one that enjoys bad puns and is hip to science fiction references.
The people who filled the seats at Mel Brooks' Spaceballs.
Exactly. You're really up on your 20th century popular culture.
Not exactly. My great-great-grandfather was an actor named John Candy.